Hello, everyone. Welcome to Marsh Stream. I'm Stephanie Wiseman, Artistic Director and founder of The Marsh and now Marsh Stream, and we are so glad you are all here for tonight's wonderful inner landscape sound journey with Laura Inserra. With a Q&A with Val Ju, you will consider making a donation to The Marsh through our tip jar. We are doing everything for free, and we have no ticket sales, which is 70% of our income. Additionally, please consider signing up to become a YouTube subscriber. Now, without further ado, I want to welcome Val Ju, who will be doing a Q&A with Laura and Sarah tonight. Val Ju is incredible, and here she is.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's wonderful to see you through Zoom. I miss seeing you at our little gatherings outside your wonderful porch in Oakland. And welcome to everybody tonight. It's great to have you back with us. I'm so excited tonight to welcome and have a chance to talk with Laura and Sarah. I also want to encourage you to give to the Marsh tip jar to support all of their wonderful programs, and they've been so kind to have us as part of their venue, and I really appreciate all of their efforts. So Laura, it's great to see you tonight. And
thank you for having me.
Yeah, we have had conversations on the phone, but and I have seen your pictures through YouTube, but this is really my time to meet you as well as everybody else.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. It's nice to be here.
I want to talk a little bit about our second time. We're going to air again on October 6th, which is the first Tuesday in October. And at that time, I think I want to direct our conversation toward people asking questions maybe about your instruments, about how you've gotten involved, which we'll discuss a little bit in music, any of those things. And I know that you and I also want to share our emails in case people want to contact us before then. So mine is Valerie, K-E-Y-E-E @gmail.com. And Laura, where can people catch all of your work?
My email is info@laurainserra.com. But if you visit my website, it's easy to find me. laurainserra.com, and there you'll find contact and connections. We can definitely connect easily.
Wonderful, thank you. I know that you're not from here, and so I'd like you to let us know just a little bit about you, where you're born, when you came to the United States, just some of that.
Yeah, I'm Sicilian, so that makes me Italian somehow. But being Sicilian in this beautiful island in south of Italy, Sicily, it's a really powerful island with this huge volcano. We speak a different language than Italians. So I grew up somehow in this environment where nature and the eldest people and the community and was almost tribal. So I'm really grateful of my formation, all along the way to have such powerful nature and elders to grow with. And I grew up there. I was already tapping and playing many instruments. I was 9 or 10, and then I started to play piano at 11, but I was always jamming with different kind of instruments, percussions, bass, drum, or the piano that I was actually studying. And right after studying a little bit of classical music, I was so wild. I was like, no way, I have to study improvisation. So I studied jazz right away. But anyway, short story is that all of that was really coming out from gatherings with friends and little performances in a pub or something like that. But then I moved to Rome to study psychology and deep a little bit more my interest in ethnomusicology and so forth. And there, while I was studying, I met even more weird instruments. I started to play the didgeridoo from Australia. I was teaching right away around 21, the djembe and the improvisation, so percussions. So Rome gave me this other aspect of opening to the world, right? In Rome, everything, every culture, everything crossed there. And my main interest has been always kind of understanding what is the meaning of life. That's why I started psychology. That's why I'm still using sound as a way to connect with my authentic self, with my energy, with what is that we don't see, but we sense. And it's such a big part of who we are. So all my path has been always somehow trying to figure out what is this life about, and to improve and study from alchemy to Indian philosophies and esoteric stuff back then, like authors like Gurdjieff. So my formation is not only as a musician, but really as a seeker that lived this life in a way that is very deep. And I want to taste, I want to sense, I want to see what my eyes and my, hands don't recognize as reality, but all of these other layers. And so by 24, 25, I studied at the Conservatorium classical music, which gave me a lot of discipline. And I learned writing music. And so I started to do a lot of compositions and soundtrack for movies. And I was very lucky to work with a very famous composer in Italy. So I was working with big companies. And then though I felt that through the computers and all of these libraries of sounds and so forth, I felt that I was losing my path. I was more in studio than, how much I was recording. Or so at a certain point I was invited to come to Burning Man in California. And I realized how powerful was all of the Bay Area scene, because back then I was invited here in Berkeley. And then with Burning Man, I realized, wow, it is possible. All different expressions of art. We are not only one source of creativity. Creativity can be expressed in many forms. And so it gave me this trust that I could express myself and find a place where I was able to be embraced by the culture, which in Sicily and in Rome was not easy. It's very traditional there. Still, there's a lot of layers of. So I moved here when I was, what was it? It was 2006. And right away I created a nonprofit called Samavesha, a multidisciplinary performing art nonprofit organization with which I was producing many site-specific events with this idea to allow people to immerse themselves in what they don't see, but they can feel. So every performance, even a concert, I always try to cut out that separation between me and the audience. And I want the audience to become part of the performance. So not only they are witnessing, but they become basically, they become creators of their own experience. And so, again, like I did very beautiful festivals in the Redwood in Auckland, 1 mile trail in the Redwood Regional Park with 350 artists performing simultaneously. So that was for me like my way to, connecting with other artists to express what I always felt possible, which is this source of creativity that we have that is just a source that you can, again, create a sculpture out of it. You can paint something, you can tap on a drum and make some sounds. And so, that's a little bit as I, walked my path, I try to share with the community and have, again, experiences where we can just tap into something bigger than us. And
just
by doing that, and by doing that, you connect. You connect, with people around you as well, because then we tap into, again, this beautiful energy and energy body that we are and that we can be. So that's a little bit the story. And then, I've been performing all over the world, but my base is here in the Berkeley Hills right now. And I'm happy to be here, even if Yeah.
We are very fortunate to have you in the Bay Area with us, and just
Oh,
listening to
thank
you
you.
speak really makes me feel like tonight's inner landscape is kind of not only traveling within ourselves, but traveling with you. I know that the times that I've listened to your YouTube or the one that you've recorded for us tonight, there's there's a richness in the time that we are able to spend not only visually seeing what you have to offer, but also visually spending time in our internal self. So I really thank you for, you were talking about all of us kind of discovering who we are. And I think this is a challenging time where we really need to kind of discover a different self and explore. And the music that you offer allows us to do that. One of the things that I notice is you're in your own studio. In the past sound healings or sound journeys that we've done, we've been in a variety of places, and that's the other sort of visual candy that I get is when I'm looking into your studio and seeing a variety of instruments.
You can see a
Thank
little
you.
bit.
It's so beautiful.
This
So
is
one,
just 15% of my instruments because I don't
oh
have
my
space
gosh.
enough to have them here. So all the other ones are around the house, in the basement. So
Well, the one that we have a picture of you for the marsh is
yes,
a multitude of tubes that are in
yes.
sort of an array. And can you just talk a little bit about what is the name of that instrument and maybe a little bit of the
I
sound
imagine you're
that
talking
comes
about
from
this,
that?
right?
Yes, yes, that one.
So this is called blossom bells. And
Blossom
it's an
bells.
instrument,
Uh-huh.
blossom bells, like, you know, like a blossom of different conic bells. And it is custom made by this beautiful gentleman, which I adore, Pete Engelhardt, here actually in Berkeley, since, you know, probably spending his last 50 or 60 years making different instruments with metal. And this is pretty unique. I mean, I could turn on the phone, let me turn on here we go. So you can hear a little bit
And
better.
that's the other wonderful thing, Laura, is that you have, yeah, the other artists that we've worked with, we've had to have a videographer, and now you're in control of all of your own sound.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Zoom is not the best way to travel with the music. So anyway, that's why I was recording it, because as you said, yes, we have such a vast space inside of us that we rarely explore. We rarely give each other the possibility to stop and tap into this incredible inner environment, inner landscape, inner world that we have, which is one of a kind, because yours is just yours. There's only one Val in this universe. And so that's the power of it, that you're going to be exposed to a rare, one of a kind experience that only you can reach. So I love to bring people to that place, because first of all, we go back into really tapping in ancient wisdom that is also in that inner space, which comes from memories that are in our cells, memories we gain from our ancestors. That's why we look like them. And we know scientifically that if a cell acts in a certain way, meaning your cells, they show you as you are and you look like your grandmother, cells, they carry energy, and energy carries information. And in that information, there is a lot that is wisdom that we can tap into. Way more old than our 50, 60 years or 100, 200 years of history and exploration we've done in all dimensions, medicine, science. When you tap into your inner space and you start to sense how bigger the experience of life it could be, and how other senses that we have that are dormant, they can be awakened, and so that you can really sense and receive a reality that supports us, a reality that gave us the stamina we need, especially in times like this. A reality that talks about yourself as no one can do. And in that you evolve, in that you grow. And I believe that it is by changing our own experience, it is by changing individual by individual that you change society. There is no way you can change a group of people if you don't start from the single person. And I trust the ripples that each of us as individuals can have in others while we are changing our own experience and quality of life. Automatically, we are changing our environment and so people around us. So music is really powerful in this. And when I talk about music, I talk about also music that comes from instruments as well that are tuned or made or they were already part of a culture that was using them for this kind of journeys. And it's as if each of them, it has a personality and it tells a story. But the plot of that story is the plot that you need to hear. Because if I hear the same flute, my imagination, my visions, they go to another place. And that's the story that I need to hear. And so those storytellings, they start to reveal information and stories that, as in dream states, can give you the chance to really step into a highest self of yours, into growth. You can release tensions that you don't want anymore because finally you can meet them in a safe place. And in this, again, music is very powerful.
In the beginning of your the video that we're going to hear, you do a little bit of talking, and in your talking, there's a phrase that you use. You say, feel your body lending. And I love how you express that because, as you're saying, there's so much internal that we have that we don't explore, but through the music and this lending where we let go and allow and receive, then we can begin to hear a little more of our internal self. So that phrase is wonderful. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
You talk about a vision quest and a sonic quest as well. And the vision quest is just the history behind a vision quest. I really loved what you said in regards to that. And then you changed the phrase to a sonic quest where we're really taking in auditorily this journey, and then the visualization of walking through the forest. That is the way you pair that with the music that you play is extremely powerful, and I really appreciate that.
Yes, Vision Quest is a very ancient tool, actually, that we had to go to a forest and do an initiation. What was the initiation about? You meet the dragon, as they say in alchemy. You meet your fear. Because, you know, when you are in a forest, in this wild space, all of your fears rise. And that's the beauty, because you can meet them and you can release them. You can start to trust that there is a larger orchestration, there is protection around you. And most of the time, you find your protectors, either in animal kind of forms, either in visions, either you just fell asleep for a few minutes because you're exhausted and you have an incredible dreams, and through the dream, you're getting the information, the transmission that you need. In the modern times, living not in, in those beautiful kind of conditions, we live in cities and so forth. A lot of drum circles, they've been using drums and tapping as in shamanic tradition of Mongolia and other, the drums were basically, they were everywhere, but famously Mongolia and the shamanic drumming, they were kind of helping people as well to reach the same places, the tapping and so forth. And the visual quest was more an inner journey where you imagine to enter a forest. And in that imagination, trust me, there is not imagination. It is not exactly already the journey that you need to do on a very high level. So at the beginning, for people, it's difficult as well to kind of use the imagination. Oh, I'm in a forest, no way. I had a couple of people writing me these beautiful emails saying, with tears in their eyes, like, I never been visual. I thought like, this is not going to work for me. We were talking, I was kind of thinking of my kids. And then at a certain point, my grandmother shows up. And then she takes me like into this place and blah, she opens, you know, from grandmothers, she started to have this journey in tapping in different kind of family relationships, blah, blah. That was her journey. That was what she needed. That was what, you know. So when I talk about sonic quest, I use sound as well to augment, to amplify even more that possibility of entering a space. Is almost like going into trance. And what is trance? Trance, we are always like, oh my God, trance, what that means? Trance means transiting, meaning shifting from just this awareness that we have of my cup, I'm here talking to you and with you all connected, and just tapping in something bigger. It's like a frequency, it's like a radio. And you have your antenna and you just, you know, tune yourself to a different FM station and you hear different music. And it's the same. So in that,
I love that. Yeah, I love that you're mentioning frequencies. These sounds are so vibrational. And I do want to talk a little bit before we end in 5 more minutes, but a little bit more about vibrations because, as you're saying, they happen without us really having to do anything at all.
Absolutely.
And as people are receiving your music tonight, what are the best ways that they can receive this sort of inner landscape journey, these vibrations that they're going to naturally hear that you're going to play?
Well, the first thing that I want to say is that remember that you are an orchestra. You are already music. Your heartbeat is a drum that is beating all the time. Your kidneys have some sound, your liver, whatever, you know. Yes, the cell, the flow of the bloodstream. We are an orchestra. And when we are exposed to these sounds, especially these ancient sounds, it's as if by resonating by sympathetic resonance, is called in music. Basically, you receive a sound, and then you start to oscillate. Your cells, they start to oscillate at the same frequency, because each cell has a frequency. And in that oscillation, there is movement. And the movement, again, creates energy, and energy has information, and you start to amplify yourself. So the best way for me to take these journeys is to find a safe place where you can completely trust yourself, trust the experience, close your eyes, go in your inner landscape. Of course, be super safe. Maybe use a blanket because, you know, you can change temperature while you're sitting. And just receive what is there. Be open. And anything, even if, you know, things, they start to be a little bit difficult, just let it go. Because actually they can't hurt you. They just are there to kind of bringing a message. And music in that helps, because all of the different places in which I go with the instruments, they activate kind of different areas of ourselves. For everybody is different, of course. So that's what I recommend. Just completely surrender to the experience. And if it's too much, again, as you said at the beginning, I'm here, you can, you know, reach me anytime, or to you. You do also this beautiful work of helping people in their own development. So we are here. So just connect with us. We'll be there answering your questions or whatever is there. Yeah.
One of the things that we've mentioned in our other sound healing and sound journeys is some sounds, as you were mentioning before. If you play the flute, you will hear the flute differently than I do. And there are sounds that may not be as melodical to us. And again, with those vibrations, just allowing it to open up spaces where there may be tension.
Even better. The sounds that are not familiar to you, the sounds that are, they're going to open areas that you don't access usually. That's why they're not familiar.
Yes.
I trust as well, you know, my work, because for me, one important thing is dosage. I never use the instruments just to show up instruments. I always try to have a dose of what is next. It makes me also very tender. So
wonderful.
I just ask your trust, and that's why also if something is even more like difficult, just reach me. I do this as a work. I've been, you know, coaching and doing therapy for many years now. But that's the thing. those sounds that are not familiar, even more, just be curious why they are not. What is happening into me? There's this nervousness. Why? Let it sit. And doesn't mean that you have to lay down and take the journey. If you start to feel, oh my God, I want to let it go. This shaking, dancing, these are ancient traditions that they were used to release emotion and tensions and fears, because emotions is emotions. It's energy in motion. It's energy that needs to move. It's when we, for any reason, we're stuck there, that bad thing happens and bad feelings. If you feel those sounds, like, okay, let it go, tap your body, make sounds, allow your body to tell you that ancient wisdom to guide you where you need to go. That's why I suggest a safe place, a place where you don't feel that you've been, judged for what you're doing. You can even scream.
Exactly.
Screaming opens, our chakras. And, but anyway, again, we live in a society where if your neighbors are hearing you screaming, they call the police. And it's good, because at times it's not a good sign. I'm not saying. But these are also therapeutic ways for us, as animals do.
So I feel like we could spend an hour talking. There's still more on my list to ask you, but I'm going to save some of it for our next time that we meet. As I'm sitting in my living room, it's gotten so dark, and now I see this light shade coming. I hope you will see me.
You're ready for the journey, basically.
I think I'm very ready.
I'm going to take it too, actually. I'm going to lay down as well to hold the energy together. I'll be there. And this is part, I want to just say this one thing. This is part of Shelter in Music, a series of sound journeys for inner voyagers that I just released. The first season, I started with the lockdown, and the second season, there is themes. And so this is going to be one of the last episodes I did for Shelter in Music. So on my website, if you are curious, just you can check more there about, all of the different other journeys you can take.
Thank you. So again, welcome everybody. We're just so happy that you could join us tonight. We will be back again on October 6th. Laura and I will have another conversation from 7:15 to 7:30 on October 6th. And we welcome any questions or comments or even sharing your journey with us. We would love to hear that. We'll be present with you throughout this. And Laura, I know you have such a wide community that you're serving. So those of you who are with us tonight, make sure to go onto her website. She does the live streaming. She's got other YouTubes, and this is just a snippet of her wonderful offering that she has for us. So thank you, Laura, so much. And we're ready to turn it over to Brian.
Thank you to the Marsh for making this happen. Thank you.
Thank you. So Brian.